-42 degrees in Fargo tonight with wind chills approaching -65. But here's what nobody's talking about. That's not even the coldest spot in the lower 48 right now. International Falls just recorded -47, and we haven't even hit the peak of this Arctic blast yet. Your heating system, your water pipes, your ability to safely get through the next 72 hours. All of that depends on understanding exactly when this cold arrives in your specific location and how long it's going to last. Right now, over 200 million Americans are under some form of winter weather alert. That's 2/3 of the entire country dealing with either dangerous cold, heavy snow, or both simultaneously. Here's what I'm covering in the next 90 seconds. The exact hour when temperatures drop below zero in major cities across the Midwest and South. Which metro areas are facing a triple threat of ice, snow, and record cold all at the same time. And the one computer model that's showing something completely different from all the others for late next week, and why that disagreement matters for everyone from Denver to Boston. But before I get into any of that, I need you to do something right now. Comment your city or town below. Doesn't matter if it's a major metro or a small town of 3,000 people. Drop your location in the comments. I'm going through every single comment tonight, and tomorrow's video will have specific forecast details for your exact area. Not the nearest big city, your city. So comment right now while you're thinking about it. All right, those promised timings. Minneapolis, you're already at -15 right now as I'm recording this. By midnight tonight, -26. By tomorrow morning, -31. That's the actual air temperature. Wind chills will be near -55. Chicago, you hit -8 by midnight tonight, -14 by Sunday morning. Detroit, -4 tonight, -9 tomorrow morning. Milwaukee, -11 tonight, -17 tomorrow morning. Now, let's go south where these numbers become truly dangerous because infrastructure isn't built for this. Memphis, Tennessee, you dropped to -6 tonight. Think about that. Memphis at -6. Your average low this time of year is 38 degrees. Nashville, -3 tonight. Louisville, Kentucky, -2. These are cities where the building codes don't require the same level of pipe insulation as northern cities, where heating systems aren't designed for sustained operation at these temperatures. Here's what's driving this pattern, and I promise I'll keep the meteorology brief, but this context matters. We have what's called a omega block set up across North America. High pressure over the west coast, high pressure over the east coast, and a deep trough of low pressure in between funneling Arctic air straight down from Canada. This isn't a fast-moving system. This is a stuck pattern. That omega shape in the jet stream is stable, which means this cold is going to persist. Little Rock, Arkansas, 0 degrees tonight. Your coldest temperature in 12 years. Jackson, Mississippi, -12 tomorrow morning. That would be your coldest temperature since 1989. Mobile, Alabama, 19 degrees tonight. And here's the kicker for you. That's with ice-coated trees from the freezing rain you got yesterday. Ice plus extreme cold plus wind equals significant tree damage and power outages. Let me shift to the plains because you're getting absolutely demolished. Kansas City, -7 tonight. Wichita, -3. Omaha, -16. Des Moines, -22. Lincoln, Nebraska, -14. These are temperatures that would be notable even in January, and we're still technically in the heart of winter, so this is exactly when you'd expect extreme cold. But the duration is what makes this exceptional. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, -26 tonight. Sioux City, Iowa, -24. Waterloo, Iowa, -19. Cedar Rapids, -17. The entire state of Iowa is going to be dangerously cold for the next 48 to 72 hours. When I say dangerous, I mean frostbite in under 10 minutes of exposure. I mean car batteries failing. I mean diesel fuel gelling up. I mean real operational challenges beyond just discomfort. How about you in St. Louis? -1 degree tonight. That doesn't sound as extreme as some of these other numbers until you consider you're going to stay below zero until after sunrise tomorrow. Then your high tomorrow is only going to be 9 degrees. So you're looking at probably 18 to 20 hours of continuous below zero temperatures. Indianapolis, similar situation. -5 tonight. High tomorrow of 7 degrees. Now, I mentioned a triple threat earlier, and I need to explain what I mean. There are several metro areas right now dealing with snow on the ground from earlier this week, ice accumulation from yesterday and today, and this incoming extreme cold all at the same time. That combination is particularly dangerous. Atlanta is one of these areas. You've got 2 to 4 inches of snow on the ground in northern suburbs. You had freezing rain Thursday night that coated everything. And tonight you're dropping to 11 degrees with a high tomorrow of only 26. When you have ice-covered trees and then temperatures drop this low, the ice doesn't melt, it stays frozen, and the extreme cold makes the wood brittle. Then when wind picks up, which it will tonight with gusts to 35 miles per hour, those ice-covered brittle branches snap, power lines come down. We've already got about 400,000 people without power across Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi from the ice. That number is likely to grow tonight. Birmingham, Alabama. Same triple threat situation. Snow on the ground, ice on trees and power lines, dropping to 7 degrees tonight. Huntsville, 3 degrees tonight. Chattanooga, 4 degrees tonight. You're all in this dangerous combination zone. Let me talk about what's happening in Texas because this is its own complex situation. Dallas-Fort Worth, you're at 8 degrees tonight. Houston, 22 degrees tonight. San Antonio, 24 degrees tonight. Now, those Houston and San Antonio numbers might not sound extreme compared to what we're seeing up north, but context matters. Houston's infrastructure is not designed for 22 degrees, especially not for sustained periods. You're going to stay below freezing for over 40 hours straight. The Texas grid is going to be tested. I'm not saying it's going to fail. They've made significant improvements since February 2021, but demand is going to be at near record levels. Wind generation drops in extreme cold. Solar is reduced when panels are covered with ice and snow. Natural gas picks up the slack, but that's also what everyone is using to heat their homes, so supply gets tight. Just be aware and be prepared for the possibility of rolling outages. Austin, 18 degrees tonight. Corpus Christi, 26 degrees. Laredo, all the way down near the border, you're at 29 degrees. Even McAllen in the Rio Grande Valley drops to 32 degrees tonight. The entire state is freezing simultaneously, which is unusual even for a cold outbreak. I need to jump to the northeast for a moment because there's a developing situation I've been tracking that could become significant. Right now, you're dealing with the cold just like everyone else. New York City, 17 degrees tonight. Boston, 9 degrees. Philadelphia, 14 degrees. But there are 2, possibly 3 storm systems that could affect you over the next 7 days, and the models are showing vastly different solutions for each one. Storm 1 is Sunday night into Monday. This is a fast-moving clipper system. It's not going to bring huge snow totals, maybe 2 to 4 inches for most areas, but the timing could be problematic for Monday morning commute. That one I'm fairly confident about. Storm 2 is Tuesday into Wednesday, and this is where the models start diverging. The American GFS has been showing a coastal storm developing that could bring significant snow to I-95 cities. The European model keeps it further offshore. And Storm 3, which might not even materialize, would be late week, Thursday, or Friday, and the models can't even agree if it exists yet. Providence, Rhode Island, I'll give you the range of possibilities for Tuesday into Wednesday. Low-end scenario, you get an inch or 2 of snow and it stays mostly offshore. High-end scenario, you're looking at 8 to 12 inches with strong winds and coastal flooding potential. That's a massive spread, and I won't have clarity on which is more likely until tomorrow's data comes in. Hartford, Connecticut, similar range. Albany, New York, you might actually be in a better position because if the storm goes coastal, you could miss most of it, but if it tracks inland, you'd get more. Let me get back to the current cold situation and work through more cities because I know many of you are waiting to hear your specific area. Columbus, Ohio, -1 tonight. Cleveland, -3. Cincinnati, 1 degree above 0 tonight, which is actually relatively mild compared to areas just north and west of you. Dayton, 0 degrees. Toledo, -5. Pittsburgh, 3 degrees tonight. You're also dealing with some lake effect snow from Lake Erie, so you've got that enhancement on top of the cold. Erie, Pennsylvania. 1 degree tonight with continued lake effect snow. You could see another 4 to 6 inches through tomorrow morning. Youngstown, Ohio, -2 tonight. Akron, -1. Buffalo, I need to spend a minute on your situation because it's complex. You're at 4 degrees tonight, which is cold but not historically extreme for you. But you've already got over 30 inches of snow on the ground in southern suburbs from lake effect earlier this week. Now you're adding this extreme cold on top of that snowpack. Road crews are struggling because salt doesn't work effectively below 15 degrees. You're basically just plowing at this point. And even that's difficult because snow gets hard and compacted when it's this cold. Rochester, similar situation. 2 degrees tonight with significant snow already on the ground. Syracuse, -2 tonight. The New York Thruway from Buffalo to Syracuse is going to be treacherous for the next several days. Binghamton, 1 degree tonight. Ithaca, -1. Let me go back to the Dakotas because I mentioned Fargo and International Falls, but there's more to cover. Bismarck, -31 tonight. That's getting close to your coldest temperatures on record, though you're not quite there yet. Minot, -29. Grand Forks, -35. Williston, way out in the northwest part of North Dakota, -27. Rapid City, South Dakota, -18 tonight. You're actually a bit warmer than the eastern part of your state because you're closer to the Rockies and occasionally get some Chinook wind influence, but you're still brutally cold. Aberdeen, -28 tonight. Pierre, -26. Montana is interesting because there's a big split across the state. Eastern Montana is in the deep freeze. Billings, -21 tonight. Miles City, -26. Glendive, -29. But western Montana is much milder. Missoula, 6 degrees tonight. Kalispell, 12 degrees. Great Falls, you're right on the divide, literally and figuratively, at -16 tonight. Let me talk about Wyoming. Cheyenne, -4 tonight. Casper, -14. These are cold temperatures, but not unprecedented for you. Sheridan, -19. Jackson Hole, actually staying relatively mild at 8 degrees because of elevation and local topography factors. Now I want to address something I'm seeing in the comments from previous videos. People asking if this is normal, if this is climate change, what's causing this? Here's my take as a meteorologist. Arctic outbreaks like this have always happened. We have records of similar events going back over 100 years. What may be changing is the pattern persistence. These blocked patterns where weather gets stuck seem to be lasting longer in recent years, but that's an area of active research and there's not complete scientific consensus yet. What I can tell you definitively is this is an extreme event by historical standards, particularly for the South. When Jackson, Mississippi hits -12, that's not normal by any definition of the word. When Houston stays below freezing for over 40 hours, that's rare. The cold itself isn't unprecedented, but the extent and duration are notable. All right, let me work through more cities. I've got a lot of ground to cover, and I want to make sure I hit as many locations as possible. Knoxville, Tennessee, 6 degrees tonight. Asheville, North Carolina, in the mountains, 3 degrees tonight. You've also got significant snow on the ground from earlier this week. Boone, -8 tonight at elevation. Charlotte, North Carolina, 16 degrees tonight. Greensboro, 12 degrees. Raleigh, 18 degrees. You're all below normal, but not in crisis territory like areas further west and south. Wilmington, on the coast, 26 degrees tonight. The ocean influence keeps you a bit milder. Charleston, South Carolina, 28 degrees tonight. Columbia, 22 degrees. Greenville, 14 degrees. Spartanburg, 12 degrees. The northwestern part of South Carolina is significantly colder than the coast, which makes sense given the elevation change and distance from the ocean. Savannah, Georgia, 30 degrees tonight. Jacksonville, Florida, 31 degrees. Both of you are right at or just below freezing. Orlando, 36 degrees. Tampa, 40 degrees. Miami, 54 degrees. South Florida is staying well above freezing, but for your climate, that's genuinely cold. I know people up north laugh when Miami complains about 54 degrees, but context matters. You don't have heating systems designed for prolonged use. You don't own heavy winter clothing. Let me jump back to the Midwest and Plains and hit some cities I haven't covered thoroughly. Fort Wayne, Indiana, -3 tonight. Evansville, 3 degrees. South Bend, -6. Terre Haute, 0 degrees. Bloomington, Indiana, 1 degree. Peoria, Illinois, -5 tonight. Springfield, Illinois, -2. Champaign, -4. Rockford, Illinois, -9. You're in the northern part of the state where temperatures run a few degrees colder than Chicago. Dubuque, Iowa, -18 tonight. Ames, -21. Ottumwa, -16. Davenport, on the Mississippi River, -13. The Quad Cities area is going to be very cold. Green Bay, Wisconsin, -16 tonight. That Packers game Sunday, and I know some of you are asking about this, kickoff temperature is going to be around -9 with wind chills near -35. I've been to Lambeau in cold weather. This is going to be extreme even by their standards. Appleton, -15. Oshkosh, -14. Madison, -12. Let me talk about Michigan beyond Detroit. Lansing, -6 tonight. Grand Rapids, -4. Kalamazoo, -2. Battle Creek, -3. Traverse City, up north, -13. Petoskey, -11. The northern lower peninsula is significantly colder than the south. Upper peninsula of Michigan, you're in the deep freeze. Marquette, -18 tonight. Escanaba, -16. Iron Mountain, -20. Sault Ste. Marie, -14. You're cold, but you're also continuing to get lake effect snow from Lake Superior. Another 6 to 10 inches possible through tomorrow. Let me shift to the Ohio Valley and work through some cities there. Lexington, Kentucky, 2 degrees tonight. Bowling Green, 0 degrees. Paducah, way out in western Kentucky, -4. Owensboro, 1 degree. You're all going to be well below freezing for an extended period. Huntington, West Virginia, 4 degrees tonight. Charleston, West Virginia, 6 degrees. Morgantown, 2 degrees. Clarksburg, 1 degree. West Virginia is cold but not seeing the extreme temperatures that areas to the north and west are experiencing. Now I want to come back to that model disagreement I mentioned at the beginning because we're at a point where I can give you more details. For late next week, Thursday through Saturday, there's a possibility of a significant winter storm affecting a huge portion of the country. The American GFS model has been consistently showing a major system developing in the southwest, tracking northeast across the Rockies and Plains, then potentially phasing with northern stream energy to create a large storm affecting the Midwest and Northeast. If that scenario plays out, we're talking about a major snow event for cities from Denver to Chicago to New York. But the European model has been much less aggressive. It shows a weaker system that stays further south and doesn't phase correctly, which would mean much less snow for major metros and more of an impact on the southern tier of states. The difference between these two solutions is massive. In the GFS world, Denver could see 12 to 18 inches Wednesday into Thursday. In the European world, maybe 4 to 6 inches. Chicago could get 8 to 14 inches Thursday into Friday in the GFS scenario, or maybe 2 to 4 in the European scenario. That's not a subtle difference. That's planning your whole week differently. I cannot tell you with any confidence which model is right. We're still 6 to 7 days out, which is right at the edge of useful forecast skill. What I can tell you is by tomorrow, and definitely by Sunday, we should start seeing the models converge toward one solution or the other. This is absolutely a situation where you need to check back daily because the forecast is going to evolve significantly. Let me work through the southwest and west coast because I've been focused heavily on the cold in the eastern two-thirds of the country. Phoenix, you're at 49 degrees tonight. Tucson, 41 degrees. Las Vegas, 44 degrees. You're all comfortably above freezing and staying mild through the weekend. Los Angeles, 47 degrees tonight. San Diego, 50 degrees. San Francisco, 46 degrees. The California coast is pleasant, no issues for you, but the mountains are a different story. Mammoth Mountain has picked up over 8 feet of snow in the past 10 days. More coming this weekend. Another potential 2 to 3 feet Saturday into Sunday. Reno, Nevada, 21 degrees tonight with snow. You could see 6 to 10 inches through tomorrow. Lake Tahoe. At elevation, another 2 to 4 feet possible through Sunday. This is incredible snowpack building up. Great for the water supply. Challenging for anyone trying to access the mountains. Salt Lake City. 16 degrees tonight with snow. You're looking at 4 to 8 inches through tomorrow. This is good moisture for you. Park City, Deer Valley, all the Utah resorts are getting fresh snow. Provo, 19 degrees. Ogden, 14 degrees. Denver, I need to spend some time on your forecast because it's complicated. Tonight, you're at 11 degrees. Tomorrow, you warm up slightly to around 18 for a low. But then, and this is where that model disagreement I mentioned becomes relevant, Tuesday into Wednesday, you could be looking at a major snow event. Or you might not. The GFS shows you getting hammered. The European shows a much weaker system. For now, I'd say there's about a 60% chance you get significant snow Tuesday night into Wednesday, maybe 8 to 15 inches. And there's a 40% chance it's a lighter event, more like 3 to 6 inches. Those probabilities will shift over the next 48 hours as data comes in. Colorado Springs, similar situation. Fort Collins, same thing. This is a watch and wait scenario. Albuquerque, 20 degrees tonight. You're cold by your standards, but not extreme. El Paso, 26 degrees. You're right on the border, literally, and staying just above the worst of the cold. Let me go to the Pacific Northwest because you've got your own situation developing. Seattle, 40 degrees tonight with rain. Portland, Oregon, 37 degrees with rain. You're dealing with another atmospheric river. This is the 4th significant rain event you've had in 3 weeks. Rainfall totals through Sunday could reach 4 to 6 inches in the Coast Range, 3 to 5 inches in the Cascades. The flooding concern is real. Rivers are already elevated from previous storms. Soils are saturated. You add another several inches of rain, and we're going to see river flooding, urban flooding, possible mudslides in areas with recent burn scars. Bellingham, Washington, you could see 5 to 7 inches of rain through Sunday. That's a lot of water in a short time. Eugene, Oregon, 4 to 6 inches of rain likely. Medford, Southern Oregon, 2 to 4 inches. Even areas that normally stay a bit drier are going to get significant rainfall. Boise, Idaho. You're on the eastern edge of this system. You'll see some rain changing to snow, maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow by Sunday morning, with a low tonight of 26 degrees. Spokane, Washington, you're in a different pattern. You're getting cold air and snow, not rain. 18 degrees tonight with snow. You could see 4 to 7 inches through tomorrow. Coeur d'Alene, same situation. Pullman, 20 degrees with snow. Now, let me address the recovery timeline more thoroughly because I think this is important for planning. The absolute coldest temperatures are tonight into tomorrow morning across most areas. Tomorrow night will still be very cold, but slightly less extreme for many locations. By Monday, we start to see some moderation, but it's gradual. Chicago, your temperatures by Monday night are back to around 8 degrees for a low. That's still cold, but it's not negative 14 like tomorrow morning. By Tuesday night, you're around 15 degrees. Wednesday night, low 20s. So you're looking at about a week before you're back to seasonable temperatures. Minneapolis, your recovery is slower. Monday night, still negative 12. Tuesday night, around 0. Wednesday night, finally back above 0, maybe around 8 degrees. You're locked in below normal cold for at least another 7 to 10 days. The South recovers much faster. Memphis, by Monday night, you're back to 28 degrees. Tuesday night, 35 degrees. By Wednesday, you're above freezing and staying there. Nashville, similar timeline. Atlanta, you're back to mid-30s Monday night. Low 40s Tuesday night. Dallas, you recover even faster. Monday night, 38 degrees. Tuesday night, 46 degrees. By midweek, you're back near normal. Houston, same pattern. San Antonio, same thing. The South gets hit hard but recovers quickly because the pattern shifts. Let me make sure I've covered the northern plains thoroughly because you're in the worst of this. Fargo, I mentioned negative 42 tonight, but tomorrow night, you're still at negative 36. Monday night, negative 28. This is a sustained multi-day extreme cold event for you. Grand Forks, similar timeline. Bemidji, Minnesota, negative 38 tonight. Brainerd, -34. Duluth, Minnesota, -22 tonight with wind chills near -50. You're right on Lake Superior, which provides a bit of moderation compared to inland areas, but you're still dangerously cold. Thunder Bay, Ontario, for those watching from Canada, -36 tonight. Winnipeg, Manitoba, -38 tonight with wind chills approaching -60. Regina, Saskatchewan, -32. Saskatoon, -35. You're all in the core of this Arctic air mass. Let me work through some cities in the southeast that I haven't covered in detail. Augusta, Georgia, 24 degrees tonight. Macon, 22 degrees. Columbus, Georgia, 20 degrees. All below freezing, all going to have issues with pipes, with vegetation, with infrastructure that's not designed for sustained freezing. Montgomery, Alabama, 18 degrees tonight. Dothan, 21 degrees. Tuscaloosa, 15 degrees. You're all in the danger zone for infrastructure damage. Meridian, Mississippi, 13 degrees tonight. Hattiesburg, 20 degrees. Gulfport, on the coast, 27 degrees. Shreveport, Louisiana, I need to come back to you because you had significant ice accumulation yesterday. Quarter to half inch of ice on trees and power lines. Now you're dropping to 9 degrees tonight. That combination is why you've got over 100,000 customers without power. Monroe, 8 degrees tonight with ice damage. Alexandria, 12 degrees with ice. Baton Rouge, 25 degrees tonight. Lafayette, 24 degrees. Lake Charles, 22 degrees. New Orleans, I mentioned you're at 28 tonight, and I want to emphasize that this is serious for your infrastructure. You're not built for this. Check on elderly neighbors. Make sure pipes are protected. Run water at a drip overnight. Let me hit some cities in the Tennessee Valley. Clarksville, Tennessee, -1 tonight. Johnson City, in the mountains, 2 degrees. Kingsport, 3 degrees. Bristol, on the Tennessee-Virginia border, 4 degrees. You're all very cold, well below your normal ranges. Virginia, let me work through you. Richmond, 17 degrees tonight. Norfolk, 24 degrees. You're on the coast, which keeps you milder. Roanoke, 12 degrees. Blacksburg, 9 degrees. Lynchburg, 14 degrees. Charlottesville, 15 degrees. Arlington, right across from D.C., 15 degrees tonight. Alexandria, 16 degrees. Fredericksburg, 14 degrees. The Northern Virginia suburbs are all in the same range, mid-teens tonight. Now, I want to talk about something that's been developing over the past few hours that I'm concerned about. There's a weak area of low pressure that's going to move along the frontal boundary that's separating the Arctic air from milder air to the south. This system is going to track from the Texas coast through the Gulf states Saturday into Sunday. It's not well organized right now, but it could bring another round of freezing rain to areas that already have ice damage. The models are not in good agreement on the track or intensity. If it stays south, near the coast, we're probably okay. If it tracks a bit further north, we could see another icing event for interior Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. I'm watching this closely, and I'll have much better information tomorrow once the overnight models run. For now, I'd say there's a 35 to 40% chance we see additional ice accumulation across parts of Mississippi and Alabama Sunday morning. If that happens, it compounds the power outage problems you're already dealing with. More weight on already damaged trees and power lines. More areas going dark right as you're trying to recover from the current situation. I need to remind you about the comment request because this really does matter for tomorrow's video. I want to make this as useful as possible for as many viewers as possible. So even if you're watching from a small town that never gets mentioned in weather forecasts, drop your location below. I'm going to find your forecast data and include it tomorrow. I go through every comment. This isn't automated. This is me sitting down tonight and tomorrow, reading your comments, pulling your specific forecast, and building that into the content. Let me work through some final cities I haven't covered. Wichita Falls, Texas, 6 degrees tonight. Abilene, 12 degrees. Midland, 11 degrees. The Texas Panhandle and West Texas are very cold. Amarillo, -7 tonight. Lubbock, 0 degrees. Oklahoma City, 9 degrees tonight. Tulsa, 12 degrees. Norman, 8 degrees. Stillwater, 6 degrees. You're all well below freezing for an extended period. Lawton, 7 degrees. Enid, 4 degrees. Arkansas, beyond Little Rock. Fort Smith on the Oklahoma border, 4 degrees tonight. Fayetteville in the northwest, 2 degrees. Jonesboro in the northeast, -2. Hot Springs, 6 degrees. Pine Bluff, 2 degrees. Missouri beyond the cities I've mentioned. Columbia, -1 tonight. Jefferson City, 0 degrees. Joplin in the southwest corner, 2 degrees. Cape Girardeau on the Mississippi River, 1 degree. Springfield, Missouri. I think I mentioned you, but let me reconfirm, -3 tonight. Kansas, I've covered some cities, but let me hit more. Lawrence, 0 degrees tonight. Manhattan, where Kansas State is, -4. Hutchinson, -2. Salina, -5. Garden City, way out in western Kansas, 1 degree. Liberal in the southwest corner, 4 degrees. Let me do one more swing through the northeast because there are cities I haven't covered in detail. Portland, Maine, 6 degrees tonight. Bangor, 0 degrees. Augusta, Maine, 3 degrees. You're all very cold. Lewiston, 4 degrees. Burlington, Vermont, -4 tonight. Montpelier, -6. Rutland, -3. You're in the heart of the cold for New England. White River Junction, -5. New Hampshire, Manchester, 2 degrees tonight. Nashua, 3 degrees. Concord, -1. Portsmouth, on the coast, 8 degrees. The coast stays a bit milder. Lebanon, up near Vermont, -4. Connecticut beyond Hartford. New Haven, 12 degrees tonight. Bridgeport, 14 degrees. Waterbury, 9 degrees. Stamford, 16 degrees. Norwich, 10 degrees. Rhode Island beyond Providence. Warwick, 11 degrees tonight. Newport, on the coast, 16 degrees. Pawtucket, 10 degrees. Woonsocket, 8 degrees. Massachusetts beyond Boston. Worcester, 6 degrees tonight. Springfield, 4 degrees. Lowell, 5 degrees. Cambridge, 8 degrees. Fall River, 12 degrees on the south coast. Let me address one more thing before I start wrapping up. I've been getting questions about when the pattern breaks. When do we get back to normal winter? Not this Arctic blast pattern. The honest answer is the models are showing this cold pattern persisting through at least the middle of February. That doesn't mean every day will be as cold as tonight. We'll have ups and downs. But the overall pattern favors below normal temperatures for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Beyond that, late February into early March, there are some signals that we might see a pattern shift. The stratospheric polar vortex, which influences weather patterns at the surface, is showing signs of weakening. When that happens, it can lead to a breakdown of these persistent cold patterns. But that's still several weeks away, and there's a lot of uncertainty. For planning purposes, assume cold conditions continue through mid-February. Assume you'll need to be prepared for additional Arctic outbreaks, though probably not as extreme as this current one. The winter is not over. We're right in the heart of the coldest time of year climatologically. All right, I'm at about 23 minutes, which means it's time to wrap this up. Let me summarize the key points. Tonight is the coldest night of this outbreak for most locations. Record or near-record lows are possible across the south and parts of the plains. Life-threatening wind chills are likely across the northern plains and upper Midwest through the weekend. Infrastructure stress is a major concern, particularly in the south where systems aren't designed for prolonged extreme cold. Power outages from ice damage are compounding the problem. If you're without power in these temperatures, that's a life safety emergency. Know where you can go if needed. For the Northeast, you've got the cold this weekend, but you also have multiple storm systems to watch next week. Models are inconsistent on tracks and intensities. I'll have better information tomorrow as data comes in. Recovery begins early next week for southern areas. The plains and Midwest have a longer timeline. The pattern remains cold through mid-February at least. Here's what you need to do. Comment your city below. Tomorrow's video will have personalized forecasts for every location you mention. I'm recording again tomorrow afternoon. Video will be live by 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss it because this forecast is evolving rapidly. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for taking this seriously and preparing appropriately. Stay safe, stay warm, check on your neighbors, and I'll see you tomorrow with updated information. Take care.